Hey guys, so I'm hoping that everyone is doing great. Happy New Year. Whew. Yeah. Anyways, um, so a few days ago, actually not even a few days ago, it was longer than that. I posted a video, and I posted a video about spiritual warfare because God placed it in my heart to, talk about spiritual warfare. And at first, honestly, I was like, I kind of did not want to talk about it because I've experienced so much spiritual warfare in this lifetime that I did not even want to like go ahead and like think about the past. I just kind of want to move forward. But God placed it in my heart to talk about spiritual warfare. And so, of course, you have to be obedient. So I kept delaying the process, and one night he told me, you have to speak about it. So I was like, okay. So I took out my phone and I recorded on my phone, of course. And so I said whatever God placed in my heart, and it was really outside of my comfort zone. It was so outside of my comfort zone. And I posted the video, and I said, this video has to be for somebody. And somebody reached out to me and said, thank you, this was for me. So I said, well, thank God. Thank God that somebody got the message when they needed to get it. So, and I'm also glad that I was obedient. But then I took the video down because I was like, God, this is just completely outside of my comfort zone. Everything that you're like telling me to do is extremely outside of my comfort zone. When I went into management at 19 years old, that was completely outside of my comfort zone. To be quite honest with you, I didn't even want to do management. And so I did it for a long time. And you know what? God carried me through. And so he kept pressing on my spirit to keep on talking about spiritual warfare and what spiritual warfare is like, and what you should do when you are facing spiritual warfare. So I was like, okay, all right, I'll go ahead and talk about it. And and I called my brother about this too because I just needed advice. And so I called him and I said, look, I need some advice because God is really like stretching me. He wants me to go on YouTube and talk about spiritual warfare. And quite honestly, I don't want to put my business out there. Can I keep it real? And so he told me, he was like, look, there's a lot of people that talk about what God has done for them, but there's very little videos, or at least, I don't know, I haven't searched, but like the advice he was giving me is like, there's very little videos where people are like taking you through the process, right? So I said, okay, that's true. And so he was like, I would much rather see somebody going through the process than, see the aftermath. I would like to see, somebody also, going through the journey with God. So I said, okay, cool. So with that said, I'm not going to go too extremely into detail unless God himself tells me, okay, Janiris, say this, that, and the third, and I want you to be like, but I'm going to be quite open with you guys, I'm a very reserved person by nature. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm a very reserved person. So spiritual warfare, right? When I got attacked years ago, God was already sending warning, but I didn't want to take heed to that warning. And not also that I didn't want to take heed. At the same time, I was very much blinded because the people that I was surrounding myself with were not people of the spirit, right? So when I was having visions, warning visions of what would happen, and I could not interpret them, and I turned to my friend at the time, and I was telling her, listen, this is what's happening, this is what I'm seeing, and she wasn't able to interpret it either. It was like blind leading the blind, right? So this is why you guys have to be careful who you let into your inner circle, okay? Because sometimes you're leading your spirit into death, right? And so then I got a warning from a family member, and they were somebody really close to me. And I swear, we can be so hard-headed. We could be Jonas sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And because I was just like, man, like, that's just them being like caring. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? In my opinion, it's like, yeah, of course they're gonna say that because they're your family member and they're gonna look out for you. Like, a prophet isn't a prophet in their own land. And so, you know, I just kept it pushing. But honestly, because of the visions and everything that God was showing me of what was happening in the spiritual realm, I felt really unsettled. But like I said, because of my circle, like blind leading the blind, and then, you know, God sent somebody else. And to me, it was just like, because the person was like so close to me, and it was just like, man, like I said, a prophet is not a prophet in their own land. So yeah, I didn't take heed. Anyways, so when I say that it was like a piece of hell broke open, right? And it targeted me, and it had my name on it. And I was hit with absolutely everything, okay? It was one of the most toughest emotional times of my life. To be very, very, very transparent with you, it was so tough, okay? And I am so thankful that my family was there for me, because a lot of people could probably lose their heads over all of the crap that I went through. And it was at that moment that I learned, like, you know, going through the process, that God truly loves me. I know that sounds weird, like, oh, now you realize that? Yeah. Because I got to see the true nature of the enemy, okay? Because he's not playing to play, he's playing for keeps. And I got to see the true nature of God, that even though I wasn't serving him, right, and I was out there doing my own thing, but I grew up in the truth and I knew the truth, he was still reaching out to me, letting me know, like, look, you're in danger. There's danger headed your way. And I didn't want to listen. And so because I did not listen, it happened. What I was seeing pan out in the spiritual, though I couldn't decipher it right then and there, came to pass. Everything that happens here on earth happens in the spiritual realm first, okay? So this is why when God sends out a word, a promise over your life, consider it done. Because God is not a man that he should lie. And so I moved out here to Texas, and it's been great. Honestly, it's been such a beautiful journey. Like, because of everything that I've been through in the past, I felt like I was in a tunnel, in a dark tunnel. And when I came to Texas, it was like a weight was lifted. There's just something different about the atmosphere here. And I so mean that. Like, this, I mean, you'll see, if any one of you has, is a feeler or has like spiritual discernment, like, and you guys can go into a place and feel out an atmosphere, you will notice that once you come to Texas. Like, Texas is different. And so when I came out here, when I was obedient and came out here, because this time after that whole experience, right, I learned, girl, you have to be obedient, because I already saw the sacrifice and the outcome of what happens when you are not. And so when I came out here, it was like I was still in a dark tunnel, but I was seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, with all of the promises that God has said over my life, right, I'm still in the tunnel. I know that sounds weird, but I'm still going through the process, guys. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why I was under the impression that when I came out here to Texas, that everything would just start moving speedily, which could happen because God is, you know, is the controller of time. He does things however he wants it. However, If you read the Bible, you will see many times that God will have a person wait. He will have them go through the process. And so that's what I'm going through right now. I'm going through the process and I'm playing the waiting game. But I know that while I'm playing this waiting game, that God is working out the details in the background, just like he did when he instructed me to move out here. He was working out the details in the background, and when he told me to move and I was obedient, right? Everything worked out in my favor because I was walking in his will. And so that's really what's happening right now. And so when I moved out here, it's crazy because it's just crazy what God does in order to get a word to you, because he will use anybody. And it seems as though, like, before I moved out here, back in New York, he used an Uber driver. And out here, he's been using Uber drivers. Like, I'm talking about, like, in the spirit, speaking in tongues while driving. My experiences here have been nothing but God. Like, truly, truly, truly. Anyways, so I've gotten specific promises here. And I know that it's God because these people don't know me from Adam, okay? They don't know me at all. They have detailed my past, my present, and my future. They have spoken to my about my future, to my future, and my future has been confirmed, okay? Now, they have spoken what I call little promises over my life, and they have spoken big promises over my life. Now, the little promises have come to pass, okay? And by they, I mean like the Uber drivers, like people around me. Like, God will send anybody to deliver a message for you, and he will confirm it. Remember that. He will always confirm, okay? So, the little promises that he has placed over my life, like, I've seen them come to pass, right? And sometimes the enemy will try to discourage you and try to speak in your ear like, man, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna come to pass. You see how long you've been waiting? Yada, yada, yada. Like, he will yap your ear off, right? But then I remember that the God of the little promises is also the God of the big promises, right? And that his word will come to pass because God is not a man that he should lie. And then I have to remind myself of Joseph in the Bible. I remember calling my brother one day and I was like, bro, I feel like Joseph. Because it's not easy to wait. It's really not. It's really not. But then I have to remind myself, like, be still. Because every time, Janeris, that you try to do something in your own power, you end up screwing yourself over. Big time. So I have to remember, like, God is perfect. I'm not. He sees the bigger picture. I don't. He's putting the puzzle pieces together. I have to be still and know that he is God. I just have to trust my creator. So it's not always easy, like, being in the process. It's really not. But the outcome is beautiful because look at Joseph, right? At the end of the day, at the end of Joseph's story, you see Joseph was, like, high and lifted up, and he helped out his family. Like, he could have like let them starve to death, but he was in a position where he could actually help out his family, the very family that betrayed him, you know? So I have to remind myself of stories like this and realize that God is who he says he is. He's constantly, I can't even speak. He's constantly speaking, right? He's using whoever he needs to use to deliver a word. So I have to, like, be still and know that he is God. That the same God that sent me out here and has provided. And I'm doing good, guys. Like, I am super comfortable. I'm not in need of anything. God has truly provided. Like, I'm happy here. I'm so happy here. And I'm so glad that I moved here when I needed to move here because, guys, I mean, you guys have seen how COVID pretty much took over New York City. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I've also met a lot of people here that God has told to move. He's moved them from their other place, like I met a girl today. I was introduced to her yesterday at church, and I met up with her for coffee today. And she lived in Vegas, and God told her to come out here a few years ago. And we were like exchanging testimonies, and it was amazing how God worked in her life in her favor. And we had like a lot of similarities in our stories. And then a few days ago, also via church, I met another young lady, and so she has 3 kids, and God told her to move, and she was like, you know what? She took that leap of faith because she knew that where she was going, God was going to be there. And so, you know, like, I've come to the realization that, yes, I moved to Texas. Yes, everything is beautiful here. Yes, there is a waiting process. But me moving to Texas was literally just step 1. It was literally just the first step. It's like, okay, she's here, she listened, she's here. Now, like, everything else, like, slowly, he can start piecing together the puzzle. And the thing is, I remember my friend telling me, it takes God, because he works with time, right? He works with time, so it takes him time to, like, work out the details. And after he's worked out the details and he tells you to do something and you don't do it, you're playing yourself. You're truly playing yourself, because nothing good ever comes from not listening to God, from not being obedient, because we are his children. Even if it looks crazy, you know what I'm saying? Just listen to God, like, trust him. Of course, always get confirmation. I cannot stress that enough. And he will always confirm, because that's God for you. But just listen, because he's going through all this work making sure that these pieces come together perfectly, right? So that he can then direct you to do whatever it is that he wants you to do. And then if you don't do it, that's a slap to his face. Completely, like, disrespectful, you know? And so, like I said, the small promises have come to pass. And I know that the God of the small is also the God of the plenty, right? So as I am resting here in Texas, as I am being sheltered and protected and loved, like, legit, I feel so loved by God. It's not to say that I didn't feel loved in New York, but really, like, this is such a resting place where I can truly, like, focus and, like, tune in on God, you know? And the fact that he has sent so many people my way to deliver a word, to confirm a word, I'm just like, man, God, you are truly who you say you are. And so I remember after, like, going through my trial, like I said, like, that's when, you know, like, I realized how much God loved me, because he was sending warning. But then, like I said as well, like, I realized the true nature of the enemy. So I said, bruh, once God is done with my process, I can't wait to snitch the enemy out, okay? I'm gonna wait on God to be like, okay, now you can say this, that, and third. Of course, it's all in timing. But I cannot wait to, like, come on here and start saying, like, the testimonies that God has done in my life. Because God is, he's so amazing. Yeah, I love God. He's so good. And he won me over with his goodness, with his love, you know? He was constantly chasing me throughout the years, okay? Constantly. Like, I remember so many times now looking back, like, how I was in danger's way, and he would constantly, like, tell me, like, get out of here, like, don't do that, like, you know? And I would, like, take heed, but then the one time I didn't. And then the enemy is such a liar that as I was going through all of this, and I was like I was going through a major depression. It was horrible. Like, I was going through such a bad depression, and then the enemy would, like, whisper in my ear, look at your life. Look at your life. Look how long you've been waiting. Like, you should just take your life. And I was just like, no. I would fight back. I'm like, yo, that's why you got kicked out of heaven. I rebuke you. I know Jesus loves me. His word will come to pass. You guys, put on the armor of God, okay? fast, pray, worship. I spend so much time with God, and honestly, my soul feels so at peace, and I've never been happier. Like, giving my life to Christ has been the best decision I've ever made. Ever made. And then I'm just looking back, I'm like, yo, why didn't I do this before? But it's because the world is so blinding. And, you know, I felt such a void then. And it's just like, it was the thing that was missing was Jesus. But, anyways, guys, I just come on here to say that, yes, although the waiting game sucks, trust God. Trust him. He's going to do what he says he's going to do in your life, okay? You're not the only one going through it. I'm going through it. And there's plenty of other people as well that are going through it that don't talk about it. Just trust him. He loves you. God bless you. Take care. Bye.